Doozer shop here. Got a little update for you. I've been working on the Hendey tailstock, and if you remember, I wanted to make a new ram, new quill, and had some turned ground polished stock, and I wanted to make it longer. So rough numbers, I think the quill was like 10 inches, and when you crank it out all the way, it extends 5 inches. So you've got 5 inches hanging out of the tailstock casting and 5 inches left in the tailstock casting. So that's a lot of reduction in rigidity and alignment, I guess, whatever you want to call it. So instead of having a 10-inch ram, quill, whatever, I want to make it another 5 inches or so, 6 inches, call it 15 inches or 16 inches. So it'll extend back further out the butt end of the tailstock. And when it's fully extended towards the chuck, it'll come out 5, maybe I'll give it another inch, 6 inches, and it'll still be fully bearing in the tailstock casting. So let's go to the Colchester 17 and see what I have done. Bada bing. All right. So, got the mic out, got the whole thing going, showing here. Showing. So, I'm using the ground bar for a mandrel, actually, and I got the live center in there in the tailstock, and dialed the front end in the forejaw, okay? And I've got the locking cotters. This is the lock handle. I've got the locking cotters put in the tailstock casting. So it's snug on the shaft and locked up, right? There's the other part of the cotter. So what I've got here, maybe that's too much light. Okay, maybe that's better. I've turned a register, it was rough casting. It kind of tapered down, right? See, it's like a bulbous, beautiful shaped casting. And it comes down, and it just tapered off. Now, let me go on this side. The cap used to screw into it for where the bearing, thrust bearing was, and the hand wheel, installed on. You can't see the internal threads because the bar is in the way. So this would always be recessed in there. But if I do my bar thing and stick it out the back end, I'm going to need a piece of tubing or pipe or tubing or something to extend the tailstock out the back, right? To extend this out the back, and then put my my end plug where the thrust bearing is going to be, and the crank handle and whatever. So I gotta get a piece of tubing or pipe or something and attach it to the actual tailstock here. So that's what I've been doing. That was the engineering challenge, right? So it's, like I said, this nice cannon-shaped casting, just very elegant casting. I turned it until I got clean up, and actually there's some witness on the bottom, right there where it did not clean up, but that's fine. I mean, that's just absolutely nothing. Look at the scraping on the bottom of this. Isn't that beautiful? The fitting and the scraping. It's just, Hendey is top notch, man. I'll tell you. So, all right. So this whole thing, this round register, is it cleaned up at 2 3/8, okay? And the length of this, the length is about 7/8 of an inch, 875. So I've got 7/8 of an inch of length, and the diameter, like I said, is 2 3/8, right? So I've been measuring, making sure it's exactly 2 3/8. So what I was thinking of doing is threading this, right? Looked in the machinery's handbook. I mean, you know, you can make a thread anything you want, but there are, you can go by a standard. So they got 2 3/8, which is kind of an in-between. It's usually 2 1/4 or 2 1/2, but they do list 2 3/8 with a pitch of 6, 8, 12, 16, and a bit finer, you know, whatever. So what seems appropriate? Well, I was thinking 8 threads per inch. I know a popular lathe spindle thread for like the South Bend and the Atlas is 1.5 8. And when you get up into, I don't know if 2 1/4, it's still 8, or if it goes to 6. And that's Chuck's spindle threads, Chuck threads, spindle nose threads, doesn't matter. But I'm just thinking of the size, what would be appropriate. I'm thinking 8. I don't know if I want to go 6. 6 is a bit coarse. I could do 10, but it's actually not listed as a preferred thread. So the next would be 12. 12 threads per inch, you know, half 13 is 13. What would that look like on there? For some reason, I'm thinking 8 threads per inch would be a good pitch, right? So now this is 2 3/8. So am I comfortable with the threading on this? I have never threaded on this lathe, I don't believe, before. So, I mean, you've got there's your half, or your chase dial. I mean, you can always engage on the same one or whatever. I think 8, I think there's a 4-pitch screw, and you can engage on any line. And then this, there's your, well, it's not lined up, but it's going to have to work. I could turn the threading tool upside down and thread away from the chuck, which kind of thinking that's not a bad idea. That way I can not, least likely to crash it. Yeah, I don't know. Anyhow, that's my idea. So then on eBay, let's see, I was looking at tubing. If I use a piece of 1.5 outside diameter tubing, and that's an 1 3/8 thread, I got a 1/16 wall thickness where the thread is for strength. And I think that's actually pretty good. And they sell some tubing on eBay. They're cutoffs, right? 2.5 outside, they sell 2 1/4 inside, which would probably work. They also sell 2 3/16. Either way. So that's the question. Thread this, or on the tubing, put some set screws. Not set screws, but I could drill 6 radial screws into here, or 8 radial screws. Say 1/4 or 5/16 screws, and then, you know, drill into there. You know, how thick is it? How deep do I want to go? Oh, it's it's over 3/8 thick. It's knocking on 7/16 thick. It's not quite 1/2 inch thick. It's about 1/2 inch thick, depending. So I could put radial screws in there. So drill it or pin it. Drill it. I could use dog-pointed screws, and I could use 6 of them or 8 of them, so they'd be in shear. I don't know. Just tell me what you guys think. Should I thread this and buy some tubing and screw it on, or should I put some, you know, dog point set screws, and the dog points I would, you know, drill into here so they couldn't, you know, they're nicely seated. I don't know. My friend Clapped Out Bridgeport says I should thread it and just get on with it. Well, like I said, I never threaded on this lathe before because it's kind of new to me. I've threaded a bunch in my life, absolutely. I've threaded like crazy, but I don't want the half nuts to not close or something. It's going to be going slow. So anyways, enough about that. So I've been cutting with this, check out the nose radius on that tool, right? That's what I finished the corner. I don't know what that nose radius is. I'd say that's a 3/8 radius, 3/16 whatever. 3/8 diameter, 3/16 radius. Because I wanted that, you know, that, if you can see it, I wanted that to be a smooth transition, right? I don't know what this is, but I had been using this. It's a little bit sharper of a radius. So I switched out at the end to that. And that should be fine. Anyhow, that's just an update. Leave a comment if you think I'm going in the right direction. Leave a comment if you think I'm crazy. But anyhow, hope you enjoyed this. Till next time, Doozer Shop.